welcome to the Retirement Wealth Podcast. We're so glad you're joining us today.
Absolutely. It's great to be here.
So, have you ever thought about how you could reduce your expenses to make early retirement a reality?
Oh, definitely. It's a big topic and one that a lot of folks think about, especially as they start planning for retirement.
Right? I mean, the idea of stepping away from the daily grind a bit earlier is super appealing, but it often feels like a daunting task when you look at your budget.
Exactly. And that's where we come in. We're going to explore some practical tips and strategies today that can help you trim those expenses without sacrificing your lifestyle.
We'll cover everything from reevaluating your housing costs to adjusting your spending habits, and even ways to find hidden savings in your everyday life.
And don't forget, we'll also touch on the importance of having a solid financial plan in place. Knowing where your money is going is key to making informed decisions.
So whether you're just starting to think about retirement or you're already on that journey, there's something in today's episode for everyone.
Let's dive in, shall we?
Absolutely. So let's start by discussing some of those common expenses that can really add up over time.
So, Emily, when we think about reducing expenses for early retirement, it really strikes me how crucial this topic is, especially right now. I mean, with inflation hovering around, 6 or 7% in recent years?
Yeah, that's a big deal. It feels like every time I go to the grocery store, I'm shocked by how much the prices have gone up. It definitely makes you think twice about your budget.
Exactly. And for those planning to retire soon, that can really disrupt their timelines. If you're planning to rely on a fixed income, every little increase in expenses adds up. It can push back those retirement dreams.
Right. And then there's the market volatility we've been seeing lately. With the stock market fluctuating, people might feel a bit more anxious about their retirement savings. It's like one day you're up, the next day you're down. That uncertainty can lead to some tough decisions.
You hit the nail on the head. Many folks I talk to are considering delaying retirement just because they're worried about their investments. But what they may not realize is that there are ways to create a more stable financial foundation, even in turbulent times.
Like what? Do you have any examples?
Sure. I remember a couple I worked with. Let's call them Tom and Susan. They were both in their late 50s, excited about retiring in 2 years. But then they saw their investment portfolio take a hit during a market downturn. They panicked a bit, thinking they'd have to push their retirement back. But after some deep dives into their expenses, we found areas where they could cut back, like their dining out habits and some subscriptions they rarely used.
That makes sense. It's amazing how those little expenses can add up, and that's money they could redirect towards their retirement savings, right?
Exactly. They managed to shore up their finances without sacrificing too much of their lifestyle. In fact, it made them feel more in control. It's not just about the numbers. It's about peace of mind, too.
Speaking of peace of mind, what about the emotional side of financial security in retirement? I feel like that's a huge factor that often gets overlooked.
Oh, absolutely. Financial stress can really wear down your mental health. I've seen clients who, once they've mapped out their expenses and found ways to save, they just lighten up. It's like a weight is lifted. They start planning their travel, hobbies, and spending more time with family, instead of worrying about money.
It's so true. And let's not forget about healthcare costs. They can be one of the biggest surprises for retirees.
Yes! I've had many clients budget for their day-to-day expenses, but they often underestimate healthcare. A woman I worked with, let's call her Linda, thought she was set to retire comfortably, but when we factored in her potential medical costs, she realized she needed to rethink her spending habits.
Did she make any changes?
She did. We looked at her insurance options and found ways to maximize her coverage while minimizing out-of-pocket costs. Plus, she started prioritizing preventive care, which can save a lot in the long run. That made a huge difference in her overall budget.
That's a smart move. And with changes to Social Security on the horizon, it's even more critical to plan ahead.
Definitely. Many people are still uncertain about when to claim Social Security, especially with discussions around changes to the age or benefits. It's essential to have a strategy that considers these potential shifts. You don't want to be caught off guard.
For sure. And, all of these factors, market volatility, inflation, healthcare costs, they all tie into legacy planning too. People want to leave something behind for their loved ones. But if they're overspending now, that could really impact what they can pass on.
Right. It's a balancing act. I had a client, Mark, who was very focused on leaving a legacy for his grandchildren. But when we reviewed his finances, we found that he was spending a lot on unnecessary things. After adjusting his budget and cutting some excess expenses, he was able to set aside a significant amount for their future.
That's such a great outcome. It shows that with just a little effort, you can align your values with your financial decisions.
Absolutely. And I think that's the key takeaway here. By being proactive about reducing expenses, you not only improve your current lifestyle, but also protect your future. It's a win-win.
Well said. With everything going on in the economy, it really is the right time for people to reassess their expenses and make those necessary adjustments.
Exactly. And we're about to dive into some core strategies on how to effectively reduce expenses without sacrificing too much of the life they want to live. So, Emily, when we talk about reducing expenses for early retirement, one of the first things that comes to mind is really understanding your asset allocation.
Right. It's crucial to have a balanced portfolio. A mix of stocks and bonds can really help manage risk while still allowing for growth.
Exactly. A common rule of thumb is the 70-30th portfolio, where you allocate 70% to stocks and 30% to bonds. This can offer a good balance between growth potential and stability.
Yeah, and I think that's especially important if you're planning to retire early. You'll need your investments to last longer than if you were retiring at, say, 65.
Absolutely. And while the 4% rule has been a staple for many years, it's not always a one-size-fits-all solution.
Right. The 4% rule suggests that you can withdraw 4% of your retirement savings each year without running out of money. But if you're retiring early, you might want to consider adjusting that percentage.
Yes, maybe even down to 3.5% or even lower, depending on how long you expect to be in retirement. The longer your money needs to last, the more conservative you'll want to be.
That makes sense. And speaking of longevity, Social Security can play a significant role in your retirement income. Have you seen people optimize that benefit effectively?
For sure. Waiting to claim Social Security can really pay off. If you delay it until age 70, you could receive a much higher monthly benefit compared to claiming it at 62.
Wow, it's like a bonus for being patient. I think a lot of people don't realize how much that can add up over time.
Right, and it's also important to consider how it fits into your overall withdrawal strategy. You might want to use other assets, like your 401k or IRA, to bridge the gap until you claim Social Security.
Oh, that's a good point. So what about tax-advantaged accounts? Are there strategies there that can help reduce expenses too?
Definitely. Maximizing contributions to your 401k or an IRA can be a game changer. Those tax advantages really help your money grow more efficiently.
So if someone is still working but nearing retirement, they should really be prioritizing those contributions, right?
Exactly. And then, once you retire, understanding how to withdraw from those accounts can save you a lot in taxes. For instance, taking money from a Roth IRA is tax-free, which can be a huge benefit.
So the order in which you withdraw your funds matters a lot.
Yes, it does. Typically, you'd want to withdraw from taxable accounts first, then tax-deferred accounts, like a traditional IRA or 401k, and save the Roth for last if possible.
That's a smart strategy. It's like playing a chess game with your finances.
Haha, exactly. And then there's real estate, which can be a great way to diversify your income streams in retirement.
Right. Owning rental properties can provide steady cash flow, but it also comes with its own expenses and considerations.
True, but if managed well, it can be a great hedge against inflation too. Plus, there are tax benefits associated with rental properties that can help reduce your overall tax burden.
Like depreciation, right? That can really offset income tax, can't it?
Yes, absolutely. And then there are annuities, which some people consider for guaranteed income in retirement. They can help reduce the risk of outliving your savings.
But, David, they can be complex and come with fees. I think it's crucial to really understand the terms before diving in.
Very true. It's all about finding what works for you. A diversified approach can help balance those risks while still providing growth opportunities.
So, what would you say is a good rule of thumb for diversification in a retirement portfolio?
A good starting point can be the 60-40th rule, 60% in stocks and 40% in bonds. But you might want to adjust that based on your risk tolerance and how far you are from retirement.
That makes sense. And as we talked about earlier, if you're retiring early, you might want to tilt even more towards conservative investments.
Yes, and remember, regular rebalancing is key. Over time, your asset allocation can drift, and you want to make sure you're maintaining your desired risk level.
Oh, for sure. And let's not forget about tax strategies. Tax loss harvesting can be beneficial, especially if you're selling investments in a down market.
Exactly. It can help offset gains and reduce your tax bill. And then there are other techniques, like using health savings accounts, HSAs, for medical expenses in retirement.
Yeah, HSAs are fantastic because they offer triple tax benefits: tax-deductible contributions, tax-free growth, and tax-free withdrawals for qualified medical expenses.
And remember, those medical expenses can really add up in retirement, so planning for them is essential.
So it's really all about having a comprehensive plan, right? Balancing withdrawals, optimizing Social Security, being strategic with tax-advantaged accounts.
Absolutely, and keeping an eye on your expenses. Many retirees underestimate their spending needs, especially in the first few years of retirement when they might be more active.
That's such a good point. It's easy to think you'll spend less once you retire, but sometimes it's the opposite.
It's true, and unfortunately, there are common pitfalls that can derail even the best-laid plans.
Like what?
Well, one major pitfall is underestimating healthcare costs, but there are others we should definitely discuss next. So Emily, as we dive into some common pitfalls that folks might encounter when planning for early retirement, I think it's really important to start with one of the biggest risks, sequence of returns risk.
Yeah, I've heard about that. It sounds a bit intimidating. What exactly does that mean?
Well, basically it refers to the risk of receiving lower or negative investment returns during the early years of retirement. You know, if you start withdrawing money from your retirement accounts when the market is down, you could end up depleting your savings much faster than you planned.
Right, so if the market takes a hit right when you retire, that could really hurt, couldn't it?
Exactly. I've seen it happen with clients. For instance, there was a couple, let's call them Jim and Linda. They retired in 2008, right before the financial crisis. They had planned to withdraw a certain percentage from their savings, but when the market crashed, they had to pull more just to meet their living expenses. It really messed with their long-term strategy.
Oh, wow, that's tough. So, what do you recommend to avoid that kind of situation?
A solid strategy would be to have a diversified portfolio plus a cash reserve to cover several years of expenses. That way, if the market does dip, you're not forced to sell investments at a loss.
That makes sense. I guess it's all about having that cushion, right?
Absolutely. And then there's another common mistake, ignoring taxes during the withdrawal phase. Many people don't realize how taxes can impact their retirement income.
Oh, that's a big one. I think a lot of folks assume they'll be in a lower tax bracket when they retire, but that's not always the case, is it?
No, it's not. Take the case of a retiree I worked with, let's call her Sarah. She thought she'd be in a lower bracket, but she started withdrawing from her traditional IRA without factoring in the tax implications. She ended up paying more than she anticipated, which really cut into her spending money.
Ouch! So what's the key takeaway here?
The key is to strategize your withdrawals. Consider tax-efficient accounts first, and maybe even work with a tax advisor to help maximize your after-tax income.
Got it. What about healthcare? I imagine that's another area where people might underestimate costs.
Yes, healthcare is a huge factor. Many retirees are surprised by how much they need to budget for medical expenses. For instance, I had a client named Tom who planned for his retirement without a solid healthcare budget. He thought Medicare would cover everything, but he ended up needing significant out-of-pocket expenses.
That's a reality check. So how can someone better prepare for those costs?
It's really important to research and understand what Medicare covers and consider options like Medigap or other supplemental insurance. And don't forget about long-term care. It can really add up if you need it later on.
Speaking of costs, I've also heard that people sometimes underestimate their longevity.
Yes, that's another big one. Many people assume they'll spend a certain number of years in retirement, but with advances in healthcare, we're living longer. I had a couple, let's name them Bill and Susan, who planned for a 20-year retirement but ended up needing funds for almost 30 years.
Wow, That's a significant difference.
It really is. It's crucial to plan for a longer lifespan. Building in some flexibility in your financial plan can help. Maybe even considering a lifetime income option to ensure you're covered.
So it's about being realistic with your lifespan and planning accordingly.
Exactly. And then there's the risk of poor asset allocation. People sometimes stick to what they know, like being too conservative because they're afraid of market volatility.
Right, but being too conservative can actually hurt them, can it?
Yes, it can. I remember working with a client, let's call him Mike. He had a very conservative portfolio because he was worried about losing money. But as a result, he missed out on growth opportunities that could have helped sustain his retirement for longer.
That's a tough balance to strike.
It really is. A good strategy is to maintain a diversified investment strategy aligned with your risk tolerance and time horizon.
And what about Social Security? I've heard people can make mistakes there too.
Absolutely. A common mistake is claiming Social Security too early. For instance, there was a client named Rachel who claimed benefits at 62, thinking it was the best option. But she didn't realize that if she had waited a few more years, her monthly benefit would have been significantly higher.
So that's really about understanding the long-term implications of when to claim, right?
Exactly. It's important to analyze your situation and consider factors like your health, financial needs, and whether you can afford to wait to maximize those benefits.
Wow, so many things to consider. What advice do you have for spotting these red flags early?
I'd say, first, review your financial plan regularly. It's easy to set it and forget it, but life changes, and so should your plan. And don't hesitate to consult with a financial advisor who can help you navigate these complexities.
That's great advice, David. So if someone realizes they've made some of these mistakes, what can they do to recover or avoid them in the future?
Well, the first step is to take a deep breath, It's never too late to make adjustments. Reassess your goals, update your financial plan, and consider getting professional advice if you need it.
Sounds like a proactive approach is key.
Definitely. And remember, retirement is a journey, not a destination. It's all about staying informed and making adjustments along the way.
Absolutely. That's such a positive way to look at it. I think we've covered a lot of ground today.
For sure. It's all about being prepared and adaptable.
And that's what will really set people up for a successful early retirement.
Exactly, Emily.
So let's transition into some next steps that listeners can take to ensure they're on the right path.
Great idea. So, the first step in reducing your expenses for early retirement is really to take a close look at your current spending habits.
Absolutely. I mean, it's all about understanding where your money is going, right?
Exactly. A good way to start is by creating a detailed budget. I often recommend using tools like Mint or YNAB. You Need a Budget. They really help you track your expenses in real time.
Yeah, those apps are super user-friendly, and they can help you identify those little leaks in your spending,
Right. And once you've got a clearer picture of your expenses, you can start to prioritize. Maybe there are subscriptions you forgot about, or dining out too often.
Oh, for sure. And speaking of dining out, even small changes like cooking at home more often can lead to significant savings over time.
Absolutely, Emily. And don't forget about the utility bills. Simple habits like turning off lights when you leave a room or using energy-efficient appliances can make a difference.
Exactly. It's the little things that add up. Another tool I love is the retirement calculators from places like Vanguard, Fidelity, or Charles Schwab. They give you a great sense of how much you need to save and how to adjust your spending.
Right. Those calculators are invaluable, and they can help you run different scenarios too. What if you want to retire 5 years earlier? Or, say, if you plan to move to a different state with a lower cost of living.
Yes, and while you're at it, you should check out ssa.gov for your Social Security benefits estimate. That's a big part of your retirement income.
Good point. Knowing what you can expect from Social Security can really help you plan your expenses more accurately.
And let's not forget about tax planning. Using tax software or even consulting a tax advisor can help you identify ways to minimize your tax burden, especially in retirement.
Definitely. Every dollar counts, and understanding your tax situation can free up more for savings or spending.
And speaking of spending, Diving into those financial planning apps like Personal Capital can help you keep track of your investments and net worth too.
Yes, monitoring your portfolio is crucial. I'd recommend reviewing it quarterly. This way, you can ensure it's aligned with your retirement goals.
And if you haven't already, running retirement projections is another great habit to adopt. Understanding how changing your savings rate or retirement age impacts your future can be a real eye-opener.
Right, and it's never too late to improve your plan. Even if you're nearing retirement, small adjustments can still have a big impact.
Definitely, David. And for those looking for more inspiration, I recommend checking out some books or podcasts focused on retirement planning.
Great idea. The Simple Path to Wealth by J.L. Collins is a fantastic read. It breaks down investing in such an easy-to-understand way.
Yes, and for podcasts, I really enjoy Choose FI. They dive into financial independence and provide practical tips.
Oh, that's a good one. Another book worth mentioning is How to Retire Happy, Wild, and Free by Ernie J. Zielinski. It's not just about the numbers, but also about enjoying your retirement.
That's important too. Retirement is about more than just finances. It's about living your best life.
Exactly. So, as you start making these changes, remember to be patient with yourself.
Yes, change takes time, and every small step counts.
And don't hesitate to reach out to a financial advisor if you need personalized guidance. It can really make a difference to have someone in your corner.
Absolutely. With these tools in your pocket and these habits in mind, you're well on your way to strengthening your retirement plan.
So let's recap what we've covered today. So as we wrap up today's discussion on reducing expenses for early retirement, let's hit some key takeaways.
Absolutely. One of the big ones is tracking your spending. It's so crucial to know where your money's going, right?
Exactly. And then there's the importance of prioritizing your needs over wants. It's easy to get caught up in lifestyle inflation, but focusing on what truly matters can make a huge difference.
And don't forget about downsizing, whether it's your home or your lifestyle. Sometimes, making those changes can free up a lot of resources.
Right, and we can't overlook the idea of exploring alternative income streams. Whether it's part-time work or a side hustle, that can really help bridge gaps.
Yes, it's all about finding that balance and being smart with your finances so you can enjoy your retirement without stress.
Building and protecting your retirement wealth is such a journey, and it's so important to be proactive about it. You're not just planning for today. You're shaping your future.
Exactly. And if you found value in today's episode, we'd love for you to like and subscribe. Your support really helps us reach more people on this journey.
And, of course, feel free to drop a comment. We want to hear your biggest takeaway or any questions you might have. Sharing is caring, so if you know someone planning for retirement or already in it, send this their way.
Yes. Next time, we'll dive into something super important. How to create a power of attorney for financial protection. It's a topic that can really help safeguard your assets and ensure your wishes are honored.
That's right. So stay tuned for that.
Thanks for joining us today. And remember, your financial future is in your hands.
Take care, everyone, and we'll see you next time.